Long before the United States existed, before cowboys rode across the desert, and centuries before the world entered the nuclear age, New Mexico was already a land of power, conflict, and mystery. Hidden among its towering mesas, ancient canyons, and endless deserts were civilizations that would flourish for centuries, only to vanish and leave behind unanswered questions. But perhaps the greatest mystery is this: how did one remote corner of North America become the birthplace of the atomic bomb that changed human history forever? Thousands of years ago, the first peoples arrived in what is now New Mexico. They adapted to a harsh environment of deserts, mountains, and scarce water. Over generations, they developed complex societies, building villages and trade networks that stretched across vast distances. These communities were not isolated tribes struggling for survival. They were skilled engineers, farmers, and architects who transformed the landscape itself. By the 12th century, magnificent settlements rose from the desert. Massive stone structures climbed canyon walls, while ceremonial centers became hubs of religion and commerce. Places like Chaco Canyon connected distant communities through roads that stretched across the wilderness. Yet just as these societies reached remarkable heights, many were abandoned. Drought, resource depletion, and social upheaval may have contributed, but historians still debate exactly why these great centers declined. Out of these ancient traditions emerged the Pueblo peoples, whose communities would endure for centuries. Their adobe towns became symbols of resilience in an unforgiving environment. While Europe experienced medieval wars and kingdoms rose and fell across the Atlantic, the Pueblo world continued to thrive in the American Southwest, preserving traditions that remain alive today. Everything changed in 1540 when Spanish explorers entered the region searching for the legendary Seven Cities of Gold. Instead of vast treasures, they encountered thriving indigenous communities. What followed was a collision of cultures, unlike anything the region had experienced before. The Spanish claimed the territory for their empire, bringing soldiers, missionaries, and settlers into lands already occupied by established civilizations. Spanish colonization transformed New Mexico. Missions and settlements spread across the region, introducing Christianity, European livestock, and new forms of government. Yet beneath the surface, tensions grew. Indigenous communities faced demands for labor, tribute, and religious conversion. Resistance simmered for decades as cultures struggled to coexist under increasingly difficult circumstances. Then came one of the most successful indigenous uprisings in North American history. In 1680, Pueblo leaders coordinated a massive revolt against Spanish rule. Villages united across great distances, launching a carefully planned rebellion. Within days, Spanish authority collapsed. Survivors fled south, and for more than a decade, New Mexico returned to indigenous control. The Pueblo Revolt remains one of history's most remarkable examples of organized resistance. The Spanish eventually returned, but the region was forever changed. New policies sought compromise rather than absolute domination. Meanwhile, New Mexico became a distant frontier of the Spanish Empire, where settlers, indigenous peoples, and traders navigated a complex world shaped by cooperation, conflict, and survival. In 1821, another dramatic shift occurred. Mexico gained independence from Spain, and New Mexico became part of the New Mexican nation. Trade expanded rapidly. The famous Santa Fe Trail linked the region to American markets far to the east. Merchants, adventurers, and settlers poured into the territory, bringing new opportunities and new uncertainties. The arrival of American influence set the stage for another transformation. During the Mexican-American War in 1946, United States forces entered New Mexico and claimed territory. When the war ended, New Mexico officially became part of the United States, yet questions about identity, culture, and political power remained unresolved. The region stood at the crossroads of multiple worlds. As the American frontier expanded westward, New Mexico gained a reputation for lawlessness and adventure. Outlaws, ranchers, soldiers, and entrepreneurs all left their mark. Figures associated with the Wild West became legends, while conflicts over land, resources, and authority shaped everyday life. Behind the myths of gunfights and frontier justice, lay a complicated reality of cultural exchange and economic transformation. The Civil War even reached New Mexico. In 1862, Confederate forces advanced into the territory, hoping to seize Western resources and strategic routes. The campaign culminated in fierce battles across rugged landscapes. Although often overshadowed by Eastern battlefields, these clashes helped determine control of the American Southwest and influenced the outcome of the war in the region. And by the late 19th century, railroads connected New Mexico to the rest of the nation. Mining boomed, towns expanded. Diverse communities continued to shape the territory as unique identity. Yet, despite modernization, New Mexico remained deeply connected to its indigenous, Spanish, and Mexican roots. Few places in America possessed such a layered cultural history. And in 1912, New Mexico finally achieved statehood. After decades of political debate and development, it became the 47th state of the United States. Many believed a new era had begun, but no one could have imagined the role New Mexico would soon play in one of humanity's most consequential scientific projects. During World War II, secrecy descended upon the desert. Remote locations, vast open spaces, and geographic isolation made New Mexico the perfect setting for an unprecedented experiment. At Los Alamos, scientists worked under extraordinary security to develop a weapon unlike anything the world had ever seen. The Manhattan Project brought together brilliant minds, military planners, and enormous resources in a race against time. Then, on the 16th of July, 1945, the desert sky erupted with light. The Trinity test marked the first successful detonation of an atomic bomb. Witnesses described a blinding flash brighter than the sun, and a shock wave that rolled across the landscape. In that moment, New Mexico became the birthplace of the nuclear age. The world would never be the same. Today, New Mexico stands as a place where ancient civilizations, colonial struggles, frontier legends, and modern science intersect. Its history spans thousands of years, from the builders of Chaco Canyon to the scientists of Los Alamos. Every mesa, canyon, and desert valley holds stories of survival, ambition, resistance, and transformation. And perhaps that is New Mexico's greatest legacy, not simply that history happened here, but that so many different histories converged in one extraordinary land.